Episode number 2 of the Bucco Triple Play podcast, and we've got baseball to talk about, actual games, which is fantastic. Jack Hillgrove with you for episode number 2. You can follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and watch and listen wherever you get your podcasts. 1 of 3 for the Pirates in New York against the Mets to start the 2026 campaign. Losing the first 2, winning the last one in extra innings. Again, I'm Jack Hillgrove, joined by Sloan and Rich Donnelly. Let's talk about it, guys, because when we talk about this series, the biggest storyline, at least for me, is Oneil Cruz, and not in a good way. And there's a lot of good stuff about this series that we'll get into, but Oneil Cruz and just his inability to play center field at the big league level stole the headlines for me in this one, not in a good way, and you saw it almost immediately on opening day.
Well, I tell you, we talked on the last show about opening day being like Christmas. Well, it kind of felt like you got up Christmas morning, went downstairs, and the dog ate tore all the presents apart and threw them all over the living room. But by the end of the series, it was time for dinner and pumpkin pie, and everything was good. But things started a little rough for Paul Skeens, but if Oneil Cruz can catch a couple of fly balls in center field, the damage wouldn't have been that as bad, and I think the Pirates could have survived in that game. But Oneil Cruz, is he a major league center fielder?
Well, I'll tell you what, that was a bad start. Like you said, opening day, you're all fired up, and then you have something like that happen. Like it's something you see in high school or little league, and you don't expect that at the major league level. So what do you do about it? Well, you try to fix it. He has to work on using sunglasses when it's the daytime.
Well, let me ask you about that. In your time coaching with Jim Leland, how did you go about that to make sure the guys wore their sunglasses? What were the rules that were put out as far as that goes? Because apparently he didn't want to wear them.
Well, Jim did it in an indirect way, but in a direct way. Not to anybody in particular on a day game. He'd walk up and down the bench before the game. And I still remember him. Took a puff of the Marlboro, check the wind, check the sun. Check the wind, check the sun. He said it 10 times. And guys were going, okay, we'll check the wind. He was paranoid that guys wouldn't do it on their own, wanted to make sure that when that center fielder, right fielder, infielder, when they went out there, before the game started, you look up. If the sun's anywhere near where the ball might be, you might want to put on some sunglasses, okay? If the flag is whipping out the left, you might want to know that you play a little deeper, the ball's going to carry. If the wind is blowing in, you might want to play 10 feet in so the ball's going to come back. So that's the way that Jim attacked it. And every game that I can remember, everybody who went out in that field, if they needed sunglasses, they had them on. What happened on opening night, day, I'm sorry, this is the big leagues. It cannot happen again.
Yeah, it just seems we have too many of these incidents with Oneil Cruz, and Jack, he's got the arm, he's got the speed, he's got the size, the skill set, but it just all doesn't seem to be coming together.
And that's why he's still in the major league lineup. It's because he is an elite talent, or at least has the potential to be an elite talent. He has the ability to hit a ball 470, 480 feet sometimes. We saw it a couple of weeks ago in the World Baseball Classic when he was competing in the WBC. He just hasn't been able to put it all together. And we've heard stories in the offseason. Yeah, he's working with a left-handed pitching coach in batting practice, different approaches to 2 strikes. We heard all about how he, learned different things with Kevin Kiermaier, but it just, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to come together because, who knows, is it, the mental side of things? Is it, just him not being able to put everything together? It's frustrating, and if it were me, I would sit him down because you've got a very good defensive center fielder in Jake Mangum that was 2 for 5 in his first start at the plate. But they're not going to do that with Oneil Cruz because there is just so much potential there to be an elite big league center fielder, not so much from a defensive side of things, but offensively there's just too much potential talent.
Yeah, Jack, I agree with you, but I would like to see in these next 3 games, 6 games, if he plays, which he's probably going to play, I want to see improvement. I want to see him talking to veteran players about how can I get better. And that's the way you get better once you're in the big leagues. You don't stop working. I want to see him come up to maybe Tony Beasley, third base coach who runs the outfield, and say, hey, could you take me out in the outfield, show me this, this, and this. If you want to be good, you can change yourself in the big leagues. Derek Jeter made 56 errors his first year in A-ball. He figured it out. Pete Alonso was the worst first baseman in baseball history. He was horrible. He went out every morning, got better. Now you don't even talk about his defense. It's very adequate. So guys care. Everybody says, well, you don't care. Well, he cares. You just may show it in a different way. But the way you care is you go out and you try to improve on it. Now, if this persists for games to come, then like Jack says, he might have to take a little trip down the road to Indianapolis to learn how to play center field. But if he works at it every day and he cares and he talks to veteran players that help him, I think he will be better.
A lot of good from this opening series in Queens and in Citi Field, and again, the record didn't reflect it. They're 1-2 after it, but a lot of good, especially from the new Bucks, Ryan O'Hearn and Brandon Lau. Guys that were acquired in the offseason. They trade for Brandon Lau from Tampa Bay. Ryan O'Hearn, they signed to a 2-year, close to $30 million deal. And boy, did they deliver. Each of them hitting home runs. Brandon Lau with 3 home runs in as many games to start his Pirates tenure. He's on pace for like 160 of them. It's not going to happen. He's not going to finish with that, but 3 home runs in 3 games. That's pretty darn good. A .429 batting average. Ryan O'Hearn, a .417 clip to start the season. Guys, the new Bucks are living up to their end of the bargain. This is a very small sample size, but it's good to see this early on.
Well, it's good to see the big news in the offseason, getting Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn, that these two delivered in that opening series. I mean, Lau with the 3 home runs, O'Hearn some clutch hits. Overall, the Pirates struggled hitting with men in scoring position, but those two had a great weekend.
Yeah, you saw signs of power, something they didn't have last year. You seen O'Hearn off the left-hand pitcher get a big hit. We left too many guys on base these first 3 games, but you could see the potential for these new guys coming in. You got some, we call it doubles power. You got guys that can hit doubles and drive in some runs. And those first 3 games, I think you saw a good sign of what could happen down the road.
Yeah, 2 for 18 with runners in scoring position in the final game, not particularly a good metric. But one of the things that I looked at as far as these 3 games go, approach at the plate. Opening day, the loss 11-7 to the Mets, and we'll talk about that because it was very abnormal that Paul Skeens was pulled in the first inning of a ball game. Nonetheless, though, offensively, they didn't draw any walks. Game 2, Pirates draw 4 walks in the extra innings loss to the Mets, and then on Sunday, they draw 8 walks. So immediately, you're starting to see maybe a little bit more of a patient approach to the plate, drawing more walks, getting on base. They left 17 guys on base on Sunday. Nonetheless, though, a win is a win. Opening day, as we get into the pitching, Paul Skeens pulled in the first inning. Don Sloan, did you ever think that you would ever see Paul Skeens pulled in the first inning of a start ever?
Well, I'll tell you, when Lau hit that home run and it's 2-0, I'm like, we're set.
Exactly.
We're up 2-0.
Yep.
Skeens is on the mound. Let's get us the bullpen for the final couple innings will be okay. No, I did not expect that to happen. And you know, it's just the irony of it, the fact that Skeens would have won so many games last year if he only got 3 or 4 runs of run support. This time, the bats break out. They end up with, 7 runs, but they end up losing the game.
Bad part, you know, of the situation with Cruiser in center field, he misjudged the 2 balls. It not only cost him 5 runs, it cost him pitching 5 guys that they really didn't want to pitch. They had to pitch Santana on opening night in a game that wasn't a close situation. And when you get in a situation where you overuse your bullpen one night, you may get away with it. You may get through the 9 innings. The effect on it's going to be the next 2 nights. And that's what that disastrous first inning did. Not only getting Skeens out of the game, it made you use 5 or 6 pitchers that you didn't want to use.
Well, because Donnie Kelly catching some grief about the game on Saturday where Hunter Bucco came in, did a great job getting them out of the 10th inning, but came back in the 11th and gave up the go-ahead, the home run to win it for the Mets, where if you didn't go through that bullpen on Friday, they'd had options. Donnie Kelly really didn't have many options and just had Bucco finished strong there, sent him back out, and it didn't work out.
Well, he got dunked into the tank real quick. First game in the big leagues, you walk into Citi Field, there's 50,000 screaming maniacs, and the game's tied, and you got to pitch in your first big league game. So I just wiped that away. Next time out, he'll be a little more calmer. But the big trick in managing in the big leagues is how to handle that bullpen. It's tricky because you could overuse it, you could underuse it. You don't want to have a guy sitting for 5 days, but you don't want to use a guy 3 or 4 days in a row because he'll lose his effectiveness.
So Paul Skeens, and I'm pulling this stat up, Paul Skeens in games which he's allowed 4 earned runs or more. That was his 6th career start. In the 5 previous career starts, only having 5 career starts allowing 4 earned runs or more in 50-some to start your career, insane metric, and that's why he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So opening day, his 6th career start, which he allowed 4 earned runs or more. In the previous 5, he followed it up with these numbers: 3-0, a 1.55 ERA, 33 strikeouts to 6 walks. That tells you that he gets mad. That tells you that he's still really good. And that tells you that he follows up bad performances with really good ones. So if you like to bet on sports, Paul Skeens pitches on Wednesday. I would bet on the Pirates to win that game on Wednesday because the stats tell you and history tells you that Skeens follows up bad starts by his standards with really good ones.
Yeah, I think you'll see the best version of Paul Skeens on Wednesday against the Reds.
Absolutely. You know, he gave up 4 or 5 earned runs according to the scorebook. I wish in baseball we could assign errors to misplayed balls. Just because Cruz didn't touch the ball, no errors were attributed to him. There were 2 errors. And in the pitch and earned run, those were earned runs because they weren't errors. Really, truthfully, he probably gave up 2 earned runs. Now, he didn't pitch absolutely great, but if those 2 balls are caught, he probably goes at least 5 innings with 2 runs and everything's okay. But because of the way it happened, he had to throw 40-some pitches in the first inning. DK had to get him out of there. You don't want to throw 40, 50 pitches in 1 inning. You just don't want to do that with a guy that has the velocity that he does in that arm.
But I think we've got to be pleased with the efforts. Keller, Mr. Consistent, as always, and Carmen on Saturday, and then Carmen Majinski on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, 1 start on opening day. Paul Skeens, as far as the stats go, not great. They follow it up with a pair of pretty darn good ones. Keller, 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, and Majinski, 4 1/3, gave up 2 runs, but the 8 punch-outs in his first start of the season. It's a guy that won that spot in the rotation out of camp, and he had a chance as a starter before. The knock on him was, can you get through a lineup a 3rd time? The Mets' first 3 in their batting order in all 3 games. It was Juan Soto who batted second, Francisco Lindor led off, Bo Bichette. So Lindor, Soto, Bichette, one of the best 1, 2, 3 at the top of the order across baseball. Majinski struck him out in order in the first inning and then struck them all out later in the game in the 3rd inning as well. So 6 of his 8 strikeouts against 3 of the best hitters in baseball and at the top of one of the best lineups in baseball. Very encouraging stuff. And, you know, as we look at this rotation, okay, who's going to contribute after Skeens? Because we're still waiting on Jared Jones to come back. Who's it going to be after Skeens? Seeing Keller and Majinski followed up with 2 really good outings has me encouraged.
Yeah, and that's always been the knock of Majinski, that second time through the batting order, and to show that he did that against the lineup like the Mets, that's impressive.
Absolutely. And the thing I really like about your 2nd and 3rd starters, that last column you put up there, Jack, no walks. 11 innings, no walks for your 2 starters. If the next 2 starters can come anywhere close to that, I'll take it. And then, of course, you're going to take Paul in the 3rd game.
And then we saw flashes, Jack, of the bullpen, and we talked about the potential of this bullpen, and they had some great moments as well.
Yeah, they did. Yohan Ramirez, Dennis Santana, Gregory Soto. One of the beautiful things about only playing 3 games in a 162-game season, we can overreact to stuff. Maybe the Oneil Cruz talk and saying that I don't think he's a very good major league center fielder, especially defensively, that might be an overreaction in the grand scheme of a 162-game season. That's a bad overreaction. A good one is that I think that Dennis Santana and Gregory Soto can be 2 of the best late inning relievers, maybe the best 8th and 9th inning combination in baseball. 2 1/3 for Soto, 5 strikeouts in New York. Dennis Santana, he pitched in all 3 games, but 3 scoreless innings, 2 strikeouts. And how about Yohan Ramirez, guys? A guy that I thought maybe wasn't potentially a long relief type of guy. He shut the door on opening day and at least gave them a chance after Skeens was pulled.
Yeah, he opened a lot of eyes. Ramirez had an outstanding weekend. Gregory Soto, boy, is he a tough lefty.
I'll tell you, they've all got good stuff. But I think the main thing about not only our relievers, any relievers in baseball, throw the ball over the plate. Put the ball in play. You got fielders out there. Do not walk. The most disheartening thing on a team, you're all fired up, you got up, you take the lead, and your guy comes in and throws 4 balls in a row. Throw the ball down the middle. Put the ball in play. Pitch to contact. We're not pitching to strike people out. Pitch to contact. Have confidence in yourself. Have confidence in your arm. Let the fielders make the play. If our pitcher's in a bullpen with our starters, if they pitch like we think they're going to, and those guys in a bullpen can throw strikes, and then you have Santana at the end, I think it's going to be a really, really good year.
And it was a big bounce back, too. A bad Thursday to a good Sunday for Isaac Mattson and Mason Montgomery. Those two looked, after Montgomery gave up a couple of hits, those two looked lights out yesterday.
Yeah, they did. Mason Montgomery on opening day, an inning and a third, walked 3, gave up 2, did strike out 2. You're going to see a lot of strikeouts from Mason Montgomery this season. I mean, triple digits from the left side and good complimentary stuff. He'll come on, and I'm excited about him. And then Mattson, a guy that came on last year, he struggled in 2/3, gave up 2 runs on opening day, follows it up with a pair of strikeouts and a scoreless effort on Sunday in the finale. So between Montgomery and Mattson and a couple of the other guys in the middle of the rotation, you could probably throw Ramirez in there. You could probably throw Justin Lawrence in there as well. A lot of what's going on at the start of this season in this bullpen is these guys carving out roles and identifying spots where they can contribute in the middle of games, 6th, 7th inning, because I think right now Soto and Santana have the 8th and 9th innings locked down.
Yeah, and I think, too, Santana is showing that he can be that dominant closer that the Pirates need.
Yeah, you have to have one. You know, and this is going to be a big series for a couple of reasons. One, to see if they can get off this road trip 500. Second, they're going into probably the first or second park in the big leagues for offense. What do I mean? The ball carries there at Cincinnati for some reason. And Cincinnati has some good hitters. So this is going to be a good challenge for our pitchers. But on the other end, it could be really advantageous for our hitters to do well in that ballpark. So this is a really, really big series to see after 6 games what our product looks like.
Well, they struggled against the left-handed starter on Saturday. The Reds are going to throw 2 lefties out against this lineup. So we'll see what batting order the Pirates throw out there with a left-handed starter. But in the division, these divisional games are so huge because it's a 2-game swing.
Correct. Yeah, you can't do, you can't go into a town like Cincinnati and lose 3 in a row. That puts you back almost 2 or 3 games. And I think what you have to do, baseball's a game of instant amnesia. You have to forget about that first game. Play the second game, you lost another tough one. You got to forget about it. Now you won a third one. You feel pretty good on that airplane now, going to Cincinnati, a lot better than you felt on that bus the first day, going back to the hotel like, oh my Lord, what's going on here? So they're in a good frame of mind. You got your big boy pitching the final game. Let's see if we can play pretty good ball here these first 2 games and come off this trip with good vibes.
Yeah, and it's not the stressful New York City environment. They'll be in Cincinnati, and I think that will help Ashcraft, and that will help Chandler. And also, Jack, let's be honest, the Reds, a team that they have struggled at times scoring runs. Suarez, a big home run the other night. And Sal Stewart got off to a great start, but the Reds aren't the most potent offensive team.
No, and that's another reason why I think potentially Paul Skeens could have a massive bounce-back effort on Wednesday afternoon against Cincinnati on the road, and potentially could create a pretty good environment for a guy like Bubba Chandler, who's looking to take that leap. You saw it at the end of last year. He's in the big league rotation at the start of this year. Ashcraft, long relief guy, now promoted to the rotation. His first real, opportunity to be a big league starter. So we'll see if those guys can live up to their end of the bargain as well. We'll dive into the pitching matchups a little bit more later on in the show, and we'll kind of dive into this series with Cincinnati a little bit more as well, what else the Reds bring to the table. Coming up next, we dive into Rich's treasure chest and talk to former Pirate outfielder Gary Varsho. You're not going to want to miss it. It is the Bucco Triple Play, and it is sponsored by Mike Nogay Law. In life-changing moments, you need a lawyer who's ready to stand firm. And Mike Nogay has over 40 years of courtroom experience securing results in personal injury, medical malpractice, and serious criminal defense cases across West Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. That is Weirton attorney Mike Nogue Law, where your fight is his fight. And the Bucco Triple Play podcast also brought to you by Just Right Home Care. We are hiring competitive wages, flexible hours, and paid travel expenses. You can join our team of reliable and friendly caregivers by applying in person at 2197 National Road, Wheeling, or by calling 304-233-1414 to set up an interview. National Gold and Silver Refinery gold is trading around $5,000 an ounce, and now is the time to sell your gold due to popular demand. The National Gold and Silver Refinery at the Holiday Inn in Weirton, West Virginia has expanded hours. They're open Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Fridays till 4 p.m. Get top dollar in cash from the team you can trust. That is the National Gold and Silver Refinery sponsoring Rich's Treasure Chest. Something new for the Bucco Triple Play. Each episode, we dive into Rich Donnelly's treasure chest, figure out stories from back in the days of when Rich Donnelly was a Pirates coach, and we start this edition of Rich's Treasure Chest with former Pirate outfielder Gary Varsho, who was traded to Pittsburgh in 1991 from Chicago, but not until the conclusion of spring training. So he joins the Bucs right before the start of the 91 season, and we start our conversation with Gary Varsho with his recollection of his first ever encounter with the man himself, Jim Leyland.
I walk into McKegney Field, and there's Jim in complete uniform. When I say complete uniform, I'm talking about bare feet, feet up on the desk, in his underwear, T-shirt. All the staff are there. You're there. And Jim goes, "Hey, Jim Leyland, nice to meet you." He goes, "Rich Donnelly, Ray Miller, Tommy Sant, Milt May, Gino was there." And so he goes through it. So he starts asking me 20 questions about the Cubs, about players. And then, so Jim goes, "Well, where do you all like to play?" I go, "Well, you know, I like right field." He goes, "Oh, we got a good one there. We got another field." He goes, "Well, left." He goes, "Oh, well, we got an all-star there." And I go, "Well, I know center field." So he goes, "Yeah, center field's on, but we'll find you a place to play." So that's how it started. So basically, I mean, Jim was very animate about role. You are not a role player. You do not. That's what I have for breakfast. I have a role for breakfast. You are 1 of 25, and you're going to come here be prepared to play. So my preparation basically was, you know, I would get my work in with Quail every day. And now that's a whole nother exercise we can go into. But, you know, with Bill Verdon, learning how to play the outfield and getting my work in with him every day just to be, you know, and again, I keep telling these stories, but, you know, eventually, you know, they give out the gold gloves. Well, my kid won a gold glove, which I'm very proud of. But Tommy Sant told me today, one day, he goes, "You know, you were so good. You know, there's different levels of medal. You know, there's gold, silver." He goes, "You basically have worked your butt off to get the copper level." So I became a copper glove winner with the Pirates. But my day of preparation was, you know, prepare like I'm going to play. That means taking all my ground balls, taking my BP, and kind of anticipating when Jim needed a pinch hitter. I was prepared to play whenever Jim was ready to call on me. And so he only called me once. He only called me once when I was unprepared, and that was in Montreal. And we were ahead like 9-1 in top of the 9th inning, and we were winning. And Steve Buchel ends up getting a single, and he goes, "Varsho, get in there and run for him." I had to scramble to find my helmet. Got my helmet, went on first. Guy hits a ground ball, force out at second base. I come in and go, "You want me to stay in the game?" He goes, "No, hell no. Sit the hell down. You're done." And then I go, I'm never not prepared. I'm always prepared. And so, of course, my relationship with you guys and Jim was like, "Why'd you put me in?" He goes, "Well, you got incentives, don't you?" I go, "You mean game incentives?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You know, you just got another next to your night. You just added another game. So you just made yourself $20,000. I said, "You're kidding." He goes, "No." He goes, "No, I'm going to tell you something. I can't be doing that all the time. He goes, Christ, I want to manage this team for a long time because I can't be doing that. But, you just made yourself $20,000. Congratulations.
I hear you had a reputation as a sign stealer, and actually stealing a sign might have beat the Cubs one day.
Yeah, we did. Varsh, you could tell the story. I can't remember. I think it was Dwight Smith was a runner at first base, and you were sitting there, and you said to Hump is Jim Leland. We call him Humperdinck. Oh. And you said to Hump, I think I got him. And he said, you sure you got him? I got him. And about 2 pitches later, you said, Jim, I got him. He's going. And he said, you sure? Yeah, he's going. We pitched out. We throw him out to end the ball game. Is that correct?
So, correct. So, 2 outs in the 9th inning, Mark Grace singles. Jerome Walton comes in there to pinch run. It's interesting how I remember. I don't remember many at bats, but I can remember certain things that I did that sat on my ass. So it's just like, I'll never forget it because I got traded over and Chuck Cottier was the third base coach. And I watched the signs the whole time. And so Jerome Walton came in to pinch run for Mark Grace. Sandberg's at the plate, and we're down. We're up by 1 run. It's the 9th inning. It's 2 outs. And I'm watching Chuck. And I said, Jimmy's going. Are you sure? I said, he's going right now. Are you sure? I said, he's going. And so he tells Spanky to I can't remember. I think it was a pitch. I don't know, it was a pitch. Yeah, it was a pitch out.
Pitch out, yeah.
Pitched out. Spanky threw him out for the last out, won the game, shook hands, and we got back in the clubhouse. And Jim, it was just like, I didn't need any accolades. That's just like, hell, we won the game. That was all what it was all about. So, sure enough, we won the game. No big deal. And so the next day, Chuck is over there giving signs. I go, it's on again. He goes, I don't think it's on anymore. I said, well, that's a sign. And sure enough, the guy didn't go. And so Chuck had to, the Cubs figured it out. We had stolen the signs. And, I remembered what it was. And so, oh yeah, we won a game that way.
We had so much fun in the clubhouse before the game than you could ever imagine, playing basketball, doing whatever, having kangaroo court. I mean, it was like Christmas every day. The game was like an afterthought.
Yeah.
We knew we were going to win. It was just by how many runs.
You couldn't wait to get there because the entertainment value was so high, because whether somebody was getting on your rear end or laughing, and Jim would come out. Jim was out, in the clubhouse because he had to leave all the way to get a cup of coffee, which had to be many times all the way through the day. So, I mean, guys were in there. So it was like Jim would stop and talk to somebody, Rich is talking to somebody. But a lot of the talk isn't exactly baseball talk. It's things at home, what's going on in the NCAA tournament or whatever. I mean, it was a really great time to be a Pirate, and the personalities. And sometimes, Rich, you don't give yourself enough credit, which maybe you do on the side, but you don't give yourself enough credit, along with Mundo and Tommy and everybody else. I mean, there was dialogue. And we were talking all the time between the coaches and players. And, we showered in the same spot, for cripe's sakes. I mean, so it's like we were always together. So, oh, yeah, the entertainment value. I mean, I couldn't wait to get there at 1 o'clock. I mean, I'm not playing. So it's like,
yeah, you're never
I couldn't
playing.
wait to get there because the camaraderie we had, the closeness we had was just irreplaceable. It's just like, couldn't wait for somebody to get on somebody's rear end. And of course, Spanky and Andy did a really good job of making sure Barry stayed in line because Spanky was the best. He would get on somebody for anything. And then, of course, Lloyd and Curtis Wilkerson, I mean, they had the Sammy Awards for the screw up of the night or whatever it was. And that was always presented, I think, after the game. But I mean, it was fun. We as a group had a lot of fun with one another. But when it came to 7 o'clock, the one thing that staff did and Jim did is that you had 25 guys pulling at the same end of the rope, whatever it takes to win the game. And that's what it was.
Well, I see Rich is out and about, the prominent public speaker around here, and he has great stories. And I think in another life he could have been a comedian. And so a part of this show, we have the National Gold and Silver Refinery, Rich's treasure chest. And that's when Rich has a chance to reach into his treasure chest of great stories. And he's got one on you that he'd like to tell now.
Yeah, this is my best Gary Varsho story. I have a few of them, but this is the best one, and it's 99.9% true. We go into Wrigley, and back then we played day games, and of course Bonzi's playing left field every day, and Jim calls Varsh into the office when we get there, and he said, "Hey Varsh, are all your cheeseheads coming down from Wisconsin to see you tomorrow?" And Varsh goes, "Yeah, they're coming down." He says, "Well, you tell those cheeseheads that their man, Gary Varsho, is going to play left field and bat third." And Varsh goes, "I am?" He goes, "Yeah, you are. I'm giving Bonzi the day off." So Varsh plays, greatest day he's ever had in his life. 2 home runs, a double, 6 RBIs. Unbelievable. We win the game. First of all, Jim, for the guts to do that is unbelievable, to take Bonds out and put in Varsh. So after the game, everybody's patting Varsh on the back and congratulating him. But you got to know Jim. Jim doesn't do that. He calls Varsh in, and Varsh is waiting for the, congratulations. And Jim goes, "Hey, Varsh." He didn't say one word about the game. I'm at 6 RBIs. Are you kidding me? And he goes, "Hey, Varsh, are those cheeseheads from Wisconsin coming down to see you tomorrow?" And Varsh goes, "Yeah, Skip, they're going to come down. And yeah, they're coming down again," thinking he's going to play again. He goes, "Well, you tell those cheeseheads if they want to see you in the lobby of the hotel, because you ain't playing until September."
Oh my!
That's a true story, Varsh,
That's a
right?
true story. That's a true story.
And then
You
the other
go-
one, my second favorite one, we fly charter, and the player and the coaches and Jim Leland gets on the plane first, and we sit in the front. All the players have to walk by us, so we're sitting there, and here come the players filing back, and you wave to them and all that. And Jim goes, "Varsh, hey Varsh, come here." And Varsh runs over like it's real important. He goes, "Hurry up and get in the back of the plane before the GM knows you're on the team." So,
that was in spring training.
Dealt with everybody.
Oh yeah, that was in spring training. Because I remember that day because we ended up in Fort Myers, and I took BP and I took my 2 bunts, and it was a hit and run, and I got jammed. I tried to push it to short, and Jim was behind the cage, and he goes, "Get out." I said, "What? Get out? What do you mean? Get out? Come here." So I get out of the cage. He goes, "Take your glove, put down your bat, take your glove, and go behind the pitchers that are shaking and go hide behind them because I'm trying to help you make this team." He goes, "So just stand back there. Don't let anybody see you. And then when we get on the bus or get on the plane, hurry up and be one of the, get on the thing so you can get the hell in the back and get in the back of the plane before the GM gets there. So just so you're going to be on the team."
You being have played in the major leagues for years, then you have a son. And I think every player who has a son sort of dreams of his son playing in the big leagues. When Dalton, and I have another fact that Don came across today that I'm going to throw on you that you don't know, or maybe you do know. After your last game in the big leagues, 9 months and 1 day to the date, you had a son named Dalton. So the day after your last game, I know where you were and what you were doing.
Well, a little stress.
Hey, no, okay. When you had Dalton, did you knowing how hard it was to get to the big leagues, what were your expectations when he was like 9, 10, 11 years old?
Well, here's a Rich Donnelly story. So you probably don't remember this, Rich, but you were in Colorado, and Dalton was with me on the road trip, and I was hitting catcher's pop-ups to him, and then he would be in the outfield shagging, and I asked you a question. I said, "Do you think, he's not playing on a team, he's just with me and hanging out?" And you said to me, "Varsh, the best thing for that young boy of yours to do is to hang out around this environment. He will learn more things than he'll ever do in any AAU game, any little league game. He is just going to benefit from it." I don't think you remember that. And I always remembered that him hanging around me in the clubhouse and was worth a lot. Just being around him. And you know what? I just hope all my kids wanted to do something. They would be athletic and do something. And I think, we're very grateful that all our kids are athletic. And they just wanted to do something that nobody else did. Like my oldest went to Purdue and is the all-time hits leader at Purdue. Had no idea it was going to happen, but she wanted to play college. She wanted to play college softball, and so we got an opportunity to go to Purdue. Taylor ended up going to University of Sioux Falls and led the team in many things. I guess my point is that the expectations for all the kids, and Dalton especially, is, hey, if you want to do it, you got to put the work in. You got to want to go to the cage. You got to want to, if you want. I don't ask you. So my expectations for him were just, it's the same steps. Play American Legion ball. Maybe somebody's interested. Maybe go to college. Keep pursuing it. To be honest with you, Rich, you could see, and you being a baseball guy all your life, you see certain things that you go, this kid's got a chance. Oh, this kid wants to put the time in. This kid's got a tool, and he always had tools. I mean, he's got these lumberjack hands. I mean, I got small hands compared to him. I don't know where he got them from, but you see his strength and his swing, and he wants to continue to work at it. And it's like, the sky's the limit sometimes if you want to put the work in.
Yeah, the thing I've always admired about Dalton, I mean, I've been watching him since he's been 8 years old. He's become a really power hitter, hitting over 25 home runs, whatever, which is unbelievable in the big leagues. I mean, and then he signed, I believe, as a catcher, and he ends up playing in the World Series in center field. Are you kidding me? That just doesn't happen. So great athlete. I'm sorry, but he out-hit his father, as far as I know. And will continue to do so, has more power than his dad. However, he will never, ever be a better storyteller than you.
You got that right.
Brought to you by Just Right Home Care. Looking for compassionate, reliable care for a loved one in the Wheeling area? Just Right Home Care is here to help. Their dedicated team provides personalized in-home support, from daily assistance and companionship to specialized care, so your family member can stay safe and comfortable at home. With a focus on dignity, respect, and peace of mind, Just Right Home Care treats every client like family. Learn more today, because the right care makes all the difference. Just Right Home Care, 304-233-1414. It is the Bucco Triple Play. We look ahead to series number 2 of the 2026 season. It's against the Cincinnati Reds as the Pirates take on their division foe this week. We'll look ahead in a moment. Pirates take a 1-2 record into Great American Ballpark in their first divisional series of the campaign, their second series of 2026 against the Cincinnati Reds. You'll see Paul Skeens pitch again for the second time this season in this series. Hopefully it goes a little bit better than the first time. I think it's a safe bet, guys, to suggest that Paul Skeens' next start, which will be on Wednesday, will probably go a little bit better than his first.
Yeah, I would think so too. And the Reds throwing one of their main guys out there too, Andrew Abbott, and that's the matchup on Wednesday. Should be a dandy. So we've got Braxton Ashcraft and Bubba Chandler going in those first 2 games. And we talked about this earlier. The Reds coming out throwing 2 lefty starters against the Buccos. So it'll be Chase Burns and Braxton Ashcraft in game 1, then Brandon Williamson, a lefty, against Bubba Chandler, and Andrew Abbott, a lefty, going against Paul Skeens. So the test with 2 lefties.
Yeah, and I look forward to Cincinnati, that ballpark there, for some reason, the ball carries there. It's a good offensive park. So I look for a lot more production of the Pirates from their batting order. And again, on the other side, let's see what the Pirates' 4th and 5th starters can do.
Important series too, because you've got 3 games within the division.
Exactly. When you play within a division, every game is worth 2. You can't go into a series like Cincinnati and get swept, or even losing 2 out of 3. It hurts a lot, because those are teams within your division. But I like the odds here. You got Skeens going on the 3rd day. We got to try to pick up one of these games Monday or Tuesday.
Now we look at the Reds. Their team, they've got, like the Pirates, they've got good pitching, but the offensive side, Jack, is where they seem to struggle. I mean, Sel Stort had a great opening weekend. Suarez had a big home run, as did Ellie De La Cruz, but scoring runs hasn't been the forte of Cincinnati.
No, and I don't think Ke'Bryan Hayes is going to be a guy that produces a whole lot of runs for the Cincinnati Reds. Had a hard time doing it in Pittsburgh. But I look at this Reds lineup, and it's funny because, you know, with the way that we looked at the Pirates last year before they made these acquisitions, right? You had guys like, and you still have guys like Henry Davis and Nick Gonzalez and O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds, in-house guys that they have brought up and developed that they're banking on to produce and make them good players, make their team, a formidable outfit. And the Reds have these guys as well. I mean, think about a couple of years ago when all these guys came up. Matt McLain, Ellie De La Cruz, Spencer Steer. They lit the world on fire. And you said it, Don. I mean, they struggled on opening day a little bit offensively. The guy that they have to worry about, in my mind, as we look at this lineup, is Eugenio Suarez. One of those guys that the Pirates, I guess, tried to sign in the offseason, ends up going back to Cincinnati. He's their designated hitter, their main power guy, and then also the speed threat and the power threat of Ellie De La Cruz is something that the Pirates pitchers will have to be a little bit concerned about this weekend as well, or this week as well. And as we take a look more at the Cincinnati Red series, again, it's Braxton Ashcraft against Chase Burns on Monday, Bubba Chandler against Brandon Williamson on Tuesday, Paul Skeens against Andrew Abbott on Wednesday, Monday and Tuesday, 6:40 first pitches, Wednesday afternoon, a 12:40 first pitch. Divisional games, and I want Rich's take on this as well. We talked about this a little bit in the first episode. The way that they restructured the Major League Baseball schedule, everybody plays each other now, which I think is a good thing, right? Because, Shohei Ohtani is this unicorn and this elite talent in LA. They play against every team now. So everybody's got a chance to see Ohtani, and I think that's great. But because everybody plays each other throughout the season, less divisional games than normal. So these divisional games are finite and more important because there's less of them. Rich, how did you guys approach divisional matchups back when you coached? And is it true now that since there's less of them, that they're more important?
Yeah, we always talk about, well, this game's a big game. This game's a big series. No. The game you're playing tonight is the biggest game of the year, because if you start looking ahead, you're going to stumble over the ones in front of you. And to your point, playing a division rival, man, if you could go in there and win a series against them, that is huge, especially on the road. You can't go in there and get swept. You can't go in there and play 3 series and win 1 game out of every series. You got to steal 2 out of 3 and maybe sweep one once in a while. But you have to go in there and try to steal 2 out of 3, come home with a 500 record, and then play real good at home. But these division games are so important. So tonight, huge game. Tomorrow, huge game, but take one step at a time.
Yeah, and Chuck Tanner always talked about that was the key. You go and you try to win every series. You win every series, you're going to be in great shape. Jack?
Let's take a look at our 3 up and 3 down. Something that we're going to do each episode on the Bucco Triple Play. Who's trending up, who's trending down. We'll start with our 3 ups, and we'll start with Don Sloan. A former Pirate is on your up and up.
How about Andrew McCutchen this weekend with the Rangers? He had 4 hits, 4 RBIs, a home run, a double, and a game-winning RBI that put them up 2 runs in the 10th inning. And for the Phillies to go in and take 2 out of 3, the Rangers to take 2 out of 3 in Philly against the Phillies, McCutchen, could that be his? That's one of his former teams. Maybe a revenge tour, but McCutchen, a great opening weekend.
Rich Donnelly.
I'm going to go with our closer, Santana. I think this kid here, last year, we had Bednar as our closer. Didn't work out real well for the first half at least until he got traded, of course, to the Yankees. But if this guy can go out there and be your lockdown closer, I keep harping on, we blew 26 saves, most of them in the 9th inning. The most disheartening thing for a team is to have the lead in the 9th, especially on the road, and you go in there with a 1 or 2 run lead and your closer can't close them out. They call it the closer for a reason. He's closing out the game. If Santana can continue to do what he has done the first 3 games, I think those 26 saves that we blew will be at least maybe 13, and that's 10 or 13 more wins. So Santana is my up.
I'm going to go with a closer as well, but my Up is a closer out west. Waynesburg University graduate Mason Miller. He ended up going to Gardner-Webb and was drafted by the A's. But Mason traded to the San Diego Padres and has the greatest entrance for a closer in my mind since Mariano Rivera came out to enter Sandman. Mason Miller in front of the home crowd in San Diego comes out to Blind by Korn. The lights are going to the beat, walks out all dominant, throws a couple of pitches in the triple digits, more than a couple pitches in the triple digits. It picks up his first save of the season. So Mason Miller, Pittsburgh native, Waynesburg zone, he is up for me after this weekend. Let's go to our 3 down, and we'll start with Don Sloan. Your first down of our 3 up and 3 down portion.
Well, C.D. Buckner. Reds and the Red Sox the other day had 6 calls overturned on Saturday. And I tell you what, the Reds seem to have it clicking, but to have 6 calls overturned on balls and strikes by the home plate umpires. CB kind of had a down weekend.
Yeah, it's just it's natural to do it, and I tried to avoid it, but I'm going to have to give Cruz the down for the first 3 games. Now maybe he can turn that around and be an up maybe in the next coming series, but that first game that hurt a lot. That was a punch to the gut. So my down is
another punch to the gut. 5 teams, Rich, swept in the opening weekend.
Yeah, that's strange because usually. I always say that third game, when you lose the first 2, that third game, like it was for the Bucs yesterday, so important. It's a 2-game swing. Whether you lose 3 or you lose 2, it's a 2-game swing. So the third game of the series, whether you win 2 or lose 2, is so important. So even when we get down to July and August, they're going to look back and go, that Sunday game we won in New York against a real good Met team? That was really, really important. That saved us about 2 or 3 games in the loss column.
I hate to do it again because my 3 down in our first episode was about the Twins, and Derek Shelton there is not a typo. Derek Shelton in their first series, he's the manager of the Minnesota Twins, in their first series of the season against the Baltimore Orioles, he's got to be the first and only ejection arguing the automatic balls and strike system. So Don's down, right? CB Buckner having 6 calls overturned. If it's accurate, it's great. And it seems to be accurate, this automatic balls and strike system. One of the Orioles pitchers challenges the ball call overturned to a strike. And when it was overturned to a strike, Derek Shelton went out to argue it and gets ejected. He's arguing against a robot. What are we doing? Let it go. If the umpire was wrong, he's wrong, and it doesn't go your way. They showed the pitch on the ABS system. It hit the outer corner of the zone. That's a strike, and the batter's out. Not worth getting in an argument over, but I guess to Derek Shelton to take a little bit off of him, it's something that everybody has to get used to these days as well. Around the Central we go. What an opening weekend it was for the Milwaukee Brewers. They start the season 3-0, one of those sweeps to start the season. The St. Louis Cardinals 2-1, along with the Cincinnati Reds, Bucks, and Cubs are 1-2. But how about the Pittsburgh native, Don? J.J. Weatherholt in a rebuilding year, a rebuilding phase for the Cardinals, makes the team out of spring training, and the Mars PA native makes an impact.
Yeah, he had a home run, 4 hits, 4 RBIs over the weekend, and a walk-off 2-run single on Saturday. So J.J. Weatherholt, boy, what a way to break into the big leagues. And another guy that had a great weekend around the Central, one of your favorites, Christian Yelich. How about the Brewers yesterday? They were down 4-0, and then had to score 6 in the 8th to come back and win 9-7 over the White Sox. Christian Yelich, his first ever pinch-hit home run, and it was a big one, a 3-run bomb.
Yeah, the Brewers are going to be a contender in our division, I think, along with the Cubs as we go along. And you'll see, it's like a horse race. It's not who's first out of the gate. It's not who's first at the top of the stretch. It's who's first when they cross the finish line. So a long season, we used to call it the March. The March, it's 162 games. Don't get too excited over some wins. Don't put your head down over too many losses. Just keep playing every day. Have instant amnesia every night because the next night is different no matter what. Aaron Judge, perfect example. Strikes out 4 times. Everybody's, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then he comes back and does what he can do best. So you have to take each game, throw away the last game, and move on.
Yeah, and the Cubs, the team most people think will win the division, Jack, they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Nats.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And again, I would have to venture to guess a month, 2 months, 3 months from now that if we're going to take a bet who's going to have a better record, the Cubs or the Nationals, I'm picking the team that plays its games in Wrigley Field. As we look ahead to the weekend on the national scale, let's take a look at some of the highlighted games on the MLB on Fox. The Yankees and the Giants, that was Saturday night, March 28th. And then coming up on this Saturday, April the 4th, the Cubs at the Guardians. That should be a good matchup as well. Red Sox and Cardinals on Fox Saturday, April 11th. And the MLB on NBC, Sunday Night Baseball. Due to the NBA last night, the Sunday night game between the Guardians and the Mariners was on Peacock. This one on April the 12th, 7 p.m. matchup against the Atlanta Braves, Cleveland and Atlanta. That is Sunday Night Baseball on NBC. It is back, and that is where you can find it. The Pirates and the Reds kick off a series 6:40 on Monday, and the Bucco Triple Play will recap this series coming up on Thursday. Every Monday, every Thursday, each week of the season. On Thursday, we'll recap this one, hopefully a series win against the division rival, and then, of course, look ahead to the first home series of 2026 as the Baltimore Orioles come to town on Friday at 4:12 inside PNC Park. Again, Bucco Triple Play Mondays and Thursdays each week of the season. Scan that QR code on your screen to find everything you need to know about the Bucco Triple Play. That link right there will take you to our YouTube page where you can watch it, and you can also listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Facebook. That gives you all the updated information you need to as well. Bucco Triple Play. Give us a like. Follow us on Facebook as well as we continue our podcast journey on the Bucco Triple Play during the 2026 Major League Baseball regular season. This has been episode 2 of the Bucco Triple Play. Gentlemen, I guess, should we give some predictions? I think the Pirates get 2 out of 3 this week against the Cincinnati Reds, and I think Paul Skeens is going to have a dominant performance to combat his worst start as a Pirate. I think that's a safe bet.
I'll take 2 out of 3. I think they need 2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3, 500 on your first road trip, and then coming home. Pirates did not have a great road record last year. Let's try to get it right around 500 or a little better. Now you're talking about a contender. Of course, that'll be on down the line.
Connor Griffin with a big-time start to his AAA season as well, a 500 batting average as we continue the Connor Griffin watch. When will he come up to the big leagues and play for the Pirates? For Rich Donnelly and Don Sloan, I'm Jack Hillgrove saying thank you for watching, thank you for listening. This has been episode 2 of the Bucco Triple Play. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.